Okay. Good evening, everyone. We are on the record. Today is Monday, the 8th day of May in the year 2023. This is a City Council caucus meeting of the Jersey City Municipal Council. We have a scheduled 4 p.m. start. The clock on my cell phone is showing 4:05 p.m. May we have a roll call for the commencement of this caucus meeting? Councilperson Ridley. Councilperson Prinzeri. Councilperson Bajano.
Yeah.
Councilperson Saleh.
Here.
Councilperson Solomon. Councilperson Gilmore.
Present.
Councilperson DeGise.
Here.
Councilperson Rivera.
Here.
And Council President Waterman.
Here.
We have 9 council members in attendance at 4:05 p.m. On behalf of City Council President Waterman, in accordance with New Jersey Public Laws of 1975, Chapter 231, the Open Public Meetings Act, also known as the Sunshine Law, adequate notice of this meeting has been provided by the posting on the bulletin board of the first floor of City Hall, the annual notice, which is the schedule of meetings and caucuses of the Municipal Council for the calendar year 2023, and filed in the office of the City Clerk on Thursday, December 15th, 2022. In addition, at its time of its preparation, the agenda of this meeting was similarly disseminated on Friday, May 5th, 2023 at 4:25 p.m. to the Municipal Council, Mayor, Business Administrator, Corporation Council, and the local newspapers, and posted on the city's website, so I can certify as to our total compliance with the Sunshine Law. Council President, I'm going to turn the meeting over to you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Our first Director Kears.
Councilwoman, can I say something before we have our meeting, being that we have all 9 members of the council here? I just look, we have an issue going on right now. 10 years ago, this city gave away its history to Rutgers University and to other places. We have an opportunity to get this stuff back to Jersey City, but the cost is what the problem is. We can appropriate money for the arts and everything else, but Jersey City is the most historic city in the United States, and we're having a hard time trying to get all our historical articles back from Rutgers University. So I just want to let all 9 of you council people know, we have to get the money. We have to get our stuff back here to Jersey City, because what happened 10 years ago was a damn disgrace.
Councilman, just to clarify, are you talking in part about the art collection from the museum?
Well, everything.
Okay.
I want everything back.
Want everything back. All right, Director Kears, go ahead.
Good afternoon, President Warden, members of the council. I have 5 items before you this evening. First one is Resolution 23-347, 10.24. Resolution will authorize the award of a contract to RAS Step Incorporated DBA Fleeto for the purchase and management maintenance software for the Department of Automotive Public Works. System will provide fuel card integration, parts inventory management, service history, preventive maintenance scheduling, cost of ownership, and fleet reports.
Right.
Cost of this contract is $68,430 with a temporary encumbrance of $10,000, which is available through the DPW operating account.
Questions? Next, Director.
Next one is Resolution 23-349, 10.26. This resolution will authorize a renewal of an open-end contract to Plaza Auto Body, Diamond Auto Sales at Bavi's Auto Sales LLC to provide collision repairs for the DPW Automotive Division. On May 13, 2021, Resolution 21-371 was executed, awarding the contracts to these vendors with the option of 2 yearly renewals. On May 11, 2022, the city exercised their first option to renew, which was approved under Resolution 22-367. This resolution will authorize the final renew option, as all proposed vendors have been performing contracted service in an efficient manner. If the city, this renewal contracts are for 1-year periods effective May 14, 2023, and the total cost of the contracts, if the city orders the maximum qualities set forth in the bid specs, are Plaza Auto Body, $169,000, Diamond Auto Body, $174,000, and Vavi's Auto Sales, $210,000. Passage of this resolution will authorize a $10,000 temporary encumbrance for each vendor, which is available in the DPW operating account.
Questions?
Next resolution is 23-350, 10.27. This resolution will authorize the award of a contract to Beacon Graphics, LLA DBA Creative Visual Solutions in the amount of $42,561.57. Provide a MUTA printer and cutwork application table for the DPW Division of Buildings and Streets sign shop, placing a unit which has been in service in excess of 15 years. Funding is available in the DPW capital account. Resolution 23-351, 10.28. Resolution will authorize the award of a contract to Cooper Friedman Electric Supply Company Incorporated, DBA Cooper Electric, for the purchase and delivery of electrical supplies and equipment and material for the Johnson Avenue Library Project through the NJ Cooperative Purchasing Line, NJCPA Bergen County Co-op, for the DPW Division of Buildings and Streets. Total amount of the contract is $180,000, which is available in the DPW capital account.
Questions?
And the last one is,
Greg, just quick question in regards to 1027. What, the old machine broke?
yeah, it's pretty much out of service. Yeah, they're holding it together, Council. We do between street signs, banners and everything else, several hundred a week. So when we found out it's more efficient if you can even get parts for the old one, that's why we just went with the new one. The last one is resolution 23-352, 1029. This resolution will authorize the award of a contract to Cooper Friedman Electric Supply Incorporated, DBA Cooper Electric, for the purchase and delivery of unistrut and related superstructure supplies for the de-escalation pistol range project through the New Jersey Cooperative Alliance, NJCPA, Bergen County Co-op, for the DPW Division of Building and Streets. Total amount of this contract is $23,686.06, which is available in the DPW capital account. Good. Thank you very much. Have a nice night.
Good afternoon, council members. So Kyle and I are going to present together. I think finance has a lot of items today, so I think they all tell a story in regards to what is presented to you. So Sean, I want to start off with the ordinance first, 3.1.
So 3.1 is an ordinance authorizing an emergency appropriation, NJSA 40A:4-53. And that's ordinance 23-040, item 3.1.
And then Sean, with this ordinance, there's two accompanying resolutions, which is item 10.3 and
Right.
item 10.4. That's what the state asked us to put together in regards to presenting this ordinance and the accompanying resolutions for the deficit.
So again, council members, the accompanying resolutions to this first reading ordinance is items 10.3 and 10.4. 10.3 is a resolution authorizing the chief financial officer to submit an application and certification to the Department of Community Affairs, Division of Local Government Services in relation to expenses incurred as a result of COVID-19. And that's resolution 23-326. Item 10.4, resolution 23-327 is a resolution COVID-19 special emergency resolution, NJSA 40A:4-53, 54 and 55.1 and 55.13, 3-year and 5-year special emergency COVID-19 related operating deficiencies.
So, council members, as you have read through your packages this weekend, what we're presenting is exactly what you're reading. It's an ordinance to carry out the deficit that was impacted due to COVID in order to prepare this year's annual budget. Do you have any questions in regards to what was presented to you, or questions in regards to why we're here, or what was the impact, or?
Is this a one-time, I guess, COVID-related deficiency that we're allowed to carry over the course of a period of years? Is this?
So what occurred during COVID is that the state gave municipalities the ability to carry out deficits directly impacted due to COVID. As we prepared this year's budget, reviewed our financials, kind of sort of caught up. We'll talk about the audit in the next item. They granted us this ability to do so. I originally had asked for 10 years because I made a claim that financial recovery and impacts could take longer, especially in our region and due to our economics. And the state came back and said they gave us 5. So that's kind of sort of how we were able to balance our budget this year, and Cal will come speak afterwards on the budget and what we prepared. But that's it, in a sense, it was like a one-time kind of sort of thing that they had offered in 2020, 2021, and more recently.
Can you confirm the amount that we're carrying it? The amount is, was that 50 something million? Is that right?
So the total debt
What's the amount of
this year,
debt, that total debt for the course of 5 years that we're going to be carrying? And is there a plan to, you know, chip away at it to make sure it doesn't exist?
so the total deficit was, over $90 million.
90?
Yeah, 90.
Okay.
And for this year, it's 57 million that we're carrying, and then it's going to be in tranches over. We did draft a preliminary 5-year budget plan internally, because we did have to present that to the state in regards to like what would it look like in order to kind of sort of fiscally stay solvent over these next years. And is COVID still impacting your city? And honestly, to the state, like there are going to be things that are still impacting us via COVID, but we're going to address it in our working conversations with the budget on our quarterly, annual, semi-annual basis. And I think things that we discovered in council presidents, first Q1 finance meetings, there's just things that when you write a document, it just doesn't happen here. It changes over time. So.
Do we have an idea, a forecast, if you will, of what mix of revenue generated we'll get from, let's say, developments in the future, or how much of this deficit is going to be a mix of like tax revenue from increase in taxes versus revenue that the city gets from other sources? Do we know that yet, or?
I'm trying to clarify your question. So you're asking if we did,
Like,
we did a 5-year budget plan.
and of each of those 5 years, are we projected to have tax increases over those 5 years? Or is it a mix of, we're going to be building more units and the tax base will increase, or, we'll get more parking revenue from parking deck, or like what is?
Yes, so,
Can you explain like the 5-year trajectory
yeah,
for us?
so to touch on the deficit real quick, the total deficit was 92 million identified in the audit. Last year, when we had our annual financial statement, the audit wasn't finalized yet. So we did capture a portion of that deficit in the budget last year. It was 35 million. The remaining 57 will be equal installments over the next 5 years, about 11 million and some change, right? On the other side of that, I provided some attachments to the council for a summary of the 2023 budget. And inclusive of there is the next 4 budget years as well. These are obviously preliminary projections based on prior year information and how we've seen revenue rebound in years past. So what we did was we scaled out our typical local revenues based on the 5-year average from the 5 years prior to 2019, and projected that out for the next few budget cycles. But included in that is an additional 2% increase on the levy with some, I would say, conservative estimates on our surplus. We didn't want to overestimate what our surplus would be and then find ourselves in a situation where we have to increase taxes beyond that standard 2%. And that was also what the state wanted to see as well. Would a 2% tax increase be sustainable for the next few budgets? So that's what we had to present. Obviously, we have to see what the results of every year are, and that could impact what we do with the tax levy. But as of today, we're projecting a 2% levy increase over the next, including this year, next 5 budget years. It's just the most fiscally responsible way to do a, projection like this.
Thank you, directors. Can you break down for the roughly $90 million of 2021 deficit, what the breakdown was, what was less than projected?
So the COVID related impact definitely started the the monies owed from the MUA, about like $18 million of monies owed to the city from the MUA through their franchise fees and things that they needed to collect, did put the city on the standstill, but to no fault of their own, right? We were under state moratoriums where people weren't paying and they had to figure out their finances and everything of the sort. So we have been working with the MUA and we've been working internally with our financial advisors to relook at that agreement. So in the event that like not COVID or something happens in our region that we mutually can't work with one another or collect with one another, that we're ahead of that. So we will be presenting something down the line about updating our franchise fees, but that was one of the biggest pieces to our deficit in our revenues, our pilots and invaded properties. There were some changes that occurred there and some updates that did need to happen. And again, I reached out to our financial advisors. They're working on a pilot amortization schedule and updating some of the things that historically had not been updated or collected on, or were just people were exiting and out. And that was about $14 million. And the other impacts were like municipal court fees and fines, right? That's like $4.8 million. Hotel occupancy was like another 4.2. My uniform construction code fees were down by 2.1, and then other current revenue and current tax were about $8 million. So globally, when the state and Kyle and myself looked at some of our COVID impact, it was just the economy and economics of our city that triggered some of these things. And so, as Kyle presented, this 5-year budget doesn't tie the city to anything. They just wanted to make sure that we were financially planning, and that what occurs, and if we have a better cash surplus or we're yielding back and better, that, you know, we'll make amendments to these plans.
Can you provide a written breakdown of that 90 million? Would you sort of just verbally
Yeah.
summarize so it's clear to us, you know, each revenue target that was missed, and I assume you might have had some revenue that was above, you know, projected in that year, just so we're clear of exactly what numbers weren't hit, and so we get to hear. Next question is, obviously, this is for 2021. Do we anticipate any additional deficit for 2022?
I'm going to say no.
Okay.
But I will say a budget is a living, breathing policy document, and what happens with our departments and how we're setting, you know, fees, structures, conversations are real hard conversations that are going to be had this year, so that we meet these marks and then we work collectively together. So as the finance director of what the departments have provided to us, what Kyle and I have prepared, we are meticulously managing and co-working with all of our department leadership that there aren't these issues, but if they do come up, we will present them to you. But just to your last point, Councilman, the audit, I know Sean emailed it to all you guys. This is like page in it's in the audit, in the attachments. I just forget what page it is, but you do have it, but I'll send the highlight over. So
We have
that
it.
you.
Great. Okay. And then speaking of the audit, I know in the recommendation, it identified the $173 million amounts due to the current fund. And then it said, in addition, the current fund is owed $131 million to the general capital fund as of December 31st, 2021. Can you just update us on that specific amount owed to the capital fund?
So ultimately, in the postings and what occurred, all that has been cleared up and posted back in the.
Back into capital. Okay.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay. That's great. And then I assume we're not going to go through and cover all the recommendations. I assume that'll be part of the budget hearings.
Yeah, be part of the hearing.
So yeah.
So I do have a recommendation for this year's budget hearings is that finance goes first, and then the meeting on this.
Revenue, yeah.
The revenue structure,
Uh-huh.
that be one of the first two meetings, like you could do it, my department and this together, so that we can actually go into line by line, area by
okay.
area, and then you guys have sufficient amount of time to prepare questions for us.
So then I just want to make sure I know what we're
Sure.
voting on here this week.
Mhm.
So the ordinance establishes the emergency appropriation to over 5 years make up this $57 million deficit. And then the resolutions accompanying that, and they do the same thing, basically? Is that?
Yeah, that's what the state was requiring. You need the ordinance first, and then you the company resolutions in order
Okay.
to do the special emergency.
Got it. Okay. I mean, those are my questions for now.
Doesn't have to be in a specific order because I see the resolutions.
Well, the ordinance has to pass first.
Okay, so
I just didn't want to wait to the other meeting. So because the budget was due at the beginning of April.
One more question.
So I didn't want us to wait another meeting because I want to get this. Right,
Are
we don't
we
want to
in-
repeat last year.
Sorry, I did have one question. I apologize. Do we have the 2022 financial statement ready and available for the council
Yes.
review?
Yep.
Okay, great. Thank you.
we're not in danger of a credit downgrade, are we? Or
Excuse me.
are we in danger of a credit downgrade?
I mean, that's, I think a question for Moody's or AMP or S&P. I mean, I think,
Have they signaled anything to us?
yes.
Okay. Well, sidebar.
Right,
Well, I mean, it's public record, right?
right,
Yeah.
I mean, Moody's downgraded us, right? Yes.
yes,
Yep.
yeah, they did.
I don't know about the other rating agencies, but
So understand with the background with Moody's that in late of November of last year, Moody's did issue that they were changing their rating methodology. And in changing the methodology, 382 municipalities or towns across the country were going to be impacted by changes. Changes weren't distinctive to Jersey City. And changes to our budget and what we do here is going to be important in how we sustain our credit rating. So we knew in the fall that their matrix or their criteria was going to change. And so ultimately, we're issuing debt, things are being rated, and here we are today. So it's not something distinctive to Jersey City. It was distinctive to their organization. Some can say Moody should have downgraded the city in 2020 when the mayor said we were going to lose $70 million of funding.
Mhm.
Here they are today where everyone else is catching up and materially looking at and addressing administrative and financial issues as long as now that we're not feeling COVID. And so
Mhm.
that's just where we are in the world of finance and in our placement.
All right. Next one, Carmen.
And then we talked to the ordinance, the audit, and any questions on Kyle with the budget. Huh?
We have a lot of questions later.
Okay, so we'll do it at the hearing.
Right, because
Okay,
this is.
fair
not the
enough.
forum.
Thank you.
Thank you, Carmen, thank you, Carl. Maynard?
Good afternoon, Council President and council members. I have three resolutions tonight. First, starting off with Resolution 23-362. It's item number 1039. It's a resolution providing local support for the Medicine Woman LLC operating a Class 5 retail cannabis business. The Medicine Woman is located at 660-684 Tunnelly Avenue. It was approved by the CCB on July 25th of 2022 and the Zoning Board of Adjustment on March 23rd, 2023. They have 3 MOUs in place for a significant amount of money, over $25,000, and we don't have any distance issues. The nearest approved location is approximately 1,000 feet away. Next one is resolution number 23-363. It's item number 1040. It's a resolution providing local support for the Other Side dispensary to operate a Class 5 retail cannabis business. The Other Side is located at 36 Congress Street, approved by the CCB on July 25th, 2022, and the Planning Board on April 4th, 2023. They also have one MOU in place that's going to give 10% of their door fees, and the nearest locations is over 1,500 feet away.
Next.
Last, we have resolution number 23-364, item number 10.41. It's a resolution providing local support for Community Wellness Center of New Jersey, doing business as RIPT Dispensary to operate a Class 5 retail cannabis business.
They're located at 220 Broadway. It was approved by the CCB on October 17th, 2022. They're actually a medical ATC business that's going to expand into recreational. We have MOUs in place. The nearest location is over 5,000 feet away. And we do have representatives from the business here to answer any questions. So we're not required to go through planning.
John from MUA.
Good afternoon. Of ordinance 3-7. This is authorizing the transfer of Longwood Dam located in the township of Jefferson, Morris County, from the city to the Jersey City MUA. Out in Jersey, beyond the Boonton Reservoir, the city owns another dam. It's about 10 miles north and west.
Excuse me, John, what ordinance are you at?
3.7.
3.7 City Ordinance 23-046. It's the last first reading.
Oh, city also owns another dam north and west of the reservoir, the Boonton Reservoir. We have no utility from it. I think 100 years ago, there was a thought that the city might need more water, or we were going to build a bigger dam, something along those lines. But currently, the dam is being utilized by a homeowners association that use it for boating and fishing. And dam safety, since we or the city owns the dam safety says we need to make improvements, about $1 million worth. So we believe it will be easy or more practical if the city transfers the dam to the MUA so we can make these improvements.
Okay.
You said a homeowners association utilized the dam?
The water that the dam holds back, yes.
But it's our dam.
The dam that holds the water back, yes. We own it. The city owns it.
We own it. Like Booton, we own stuff out there.
And the only way
We own stuff.
the MUA can fix it if the city deed it to the MUA?
Oh, well, I missed, we want to fix it and then either give it or sell it to the homeowners association. And have
Then how-
both.
So let's say we obliged to give it to the MUA. They fix it and then you sell it to the homeowner association for $5 million. How much do the city get?
Our intention is to transfer any monies we receive to the city.
So why do we need to deed it over?
It's a more
It's a legal
practical
question.
way of doing it. There's a variety. We need to do some subdivisions of the property and we're a variety of legal items.
What's a variety? Let's
Well,
discuss.
Johns. I got two Johns up there. That's why I said, wait, John.
The MUA already has the know-how and some of the contracts in place to be able to handle the repairs, and they have the budget for it as well. So that's why we're deeding the property over to them. The old ordinance, they basically created this whole kind of mess. Envisioned transferring the property over to the homeowners association back in 2001. It never happened. It just got kind of punted down the line. The DEP is telling us we either need to fix it or take it down. They mean fix it because it's all Green Acres land at this point.
How much is the land worth?
Nothing. It's all we own is the dam. That's it. We don't own any of the land. We deeded all of the land over to the DEP. But the DEP, not wanting to keep up with dam repairs and such, said we'll take everything but this dam. They left the dam with the city.
God.
When was the dam built? Do we know?
I don't recall offhand exactly when the dam was built, but it's falling apart, basically. It creates a natural barrier for a fake lake. That's about its only use.
So we don't need it.
We absolutely do not need it. The sooner we get rid of it, probably the better.
Do we have an estimate on, I guess, what the purchase price would be after we fix it?
So we're putting it up, I believe, or I believe the MUA is going to put it up for auction. We don't know what the purchase price is going to be, but in all likelihood, because it's just a tiny sliver of concrete surrounded by water, there's no commercial interest in this whatsoever. It'll just be for the homeowners association.
So just so the record clear, the only entity or individuals that can purchase this land is that homeowners association that already utilize it, correct?
If someone else was a true glutton for punishment, they could put in a higher bid and take ownership to the dam, but there would be no reason to do it.
Thanks a lot. Thank you. Jim?
Good afternoon, council members. I'm introducing resolution 10.13. Resolution ratifying an agreement with Central Square Technologies. They provide our maintenance and support for the One Solution payroll and personnel system. That was our previous system prior to implementation of Unicorn. And we basically use that as we're transitioning over to the system to ensure all of our data is correct. Yep. Any questions? Thank you.
Agenda?
13.
Before me. Good afternoon, council members. Lucinda McLaughlin, Director of the Department of Recreation and Youth Development. I am before you today on several resolutions as well, if you would like to speak further on the second reading of an ordinance for today. I'm going to start with the easy ones, which I hope are the resolutions. The first item is item number 10.18, resolution 23-341. Get myself in order here. This is a resolution authorizing an award of a contract to a company called Ben Schaefer Recreation so that we can purchase and install purchase and have installed replacement safety surfaces under the playgrounds at Hamilton Park, as well as Stevens Park down on the south end of the city. Both facilities are in need of some serious attention. The surfaces are beyond patchwork, which we have access to, and we have consulted with our engineering and architecture department to make sure that it's a good move to replace those top surfaces, and it is, and it's necessary. These funds will actually be reimbursable to the city from Division of Community Development, so we're very excited about that.
How about the playground at Persian Field? Has that all been taken care of? As far as I know, it hasn't been.
We patched that just recently, Councilman. If you're asking about the surface specifically at Pershing, is not in the state that these two surfaces are.
I mean, you're saying you patched it up, but I mean, Hamilton Park and everything else, it's all this new stuff. And Ward C and D it should be taken care of. That's a well-used park up there.
I agree, Councilman. And actually, this is the two parks I am in front of you when it comes to Stevens and Hamilton and the safety surface there. Usually it's not recreation and youth development who's before council talking about repairing safety surfaces, because most often those significant costs are something that is wrapped up under infrastructure. And usually we as a city, from what I understand, are only looking to replace safety surfaces when we're building new parks. However, we have a bunch of parks that are really highly utilized, sometimes for different reasons, right? The high usage at Stevens is a little different from the high usage at Hamilton Park. Each park deserves to have a safe and inviting environment for our constituents. So I hear you, Councilman, with regards to Pershing. I submit we are putting the resources necessary into Pershing. If there's something specific there that you feel is not being addressed, I'm happy to speak about it.
And do we have any infrastructure to, I guess, assess which parks are prioritized over which parks, and when was this park done last? Because to Councilman Bogiano's point, we want to make sure that the repairs are equitable in a sense. Well, that one was just done and now it's done again. So do we have any system just to look at that, to see which parks should be repaired?
So Councilman, that is not any information that is maintained, if you will, within my department. I would go on a limb and say I'm fairly confident that our infrastructure and engineering and architects probably have those dates or those timings for you. I think the question of determining priorities for the city is a little more nuanced, as we might know. But I believe I said it to you last time I was in front of you, Council, and I will say it again. I am attempting to use my leadership of my department to be equitable across the board. So the repairs and upgrades that we are carrying out with obviously engineering and architects' knowledge, we're not doing anything rogue, but the repairs and upgrades that we are being able to perform right now under the Division of Community Development dollars, I'm very cognizant of where they are going and trying to make sure that they spread across the various wards.
Is this an annual reimbursement? Like you can only use it for 2 parks, or once we get reimbursed, can we reuse it again for a different park?
So Councilman, these are some funds that, to be fair, came to my attention in February, and I was asked, Lucinda, we have these dollars. They have to be used in specific demographic park areas, and they have to be used for these specific purposes. What can we do? So what I did is not only look around the city, but I turned to my own staff and our maintenance sheets that are filled out each day to look where our parks maintenance staff is identifying a need as well. And that's where these specific instances came from. Okay, so I'm going to move on from the safety service. My next is item 10.19, which is a resolution authorizing an award of a contract to Sports Pros USA for the purchase and delivery of soccer goals. Now, these are not the soccer goals you put in your backyard. These are very substantial soccer goals. I probably don't need to tell everyone in this city that we have a population that heavily uses things. And if there's a way to break it, breach it, we probably have constituents who figured that out. So we're just making sure we have real heavy duty things ready to roll and available when things break. Okay, next up is item number 10.20, a resolution authorizing an award of a contract. A similar company, Sports Pro USA, and they are the company that we use for our basketball court maintenance. So when we have a backboard or a rim or a post that needs attention, we go to the same company. They are the distributor for the type of backboards called True Bounce that we basically use across our city for our showcase basketball courts, and our snap court services as well are maintained 3 times a year by this company. They come out, clean everything up, take a look. All right, if there's no questions on that one, my next item also involves Sports Pro USA, but that is because we are replacing snap courts at Lena Edwards, which that surface is in need of a complete overhaul. Again, after consultation with engineering and architecture to make sure we were on the right path here. These funds similarly are reimbursable through the Division of Community Development. With these dollars, we will be picking up all the tiles at Lena Edwards, putting down a brand new surface on both basketball courts at Lena Edwards. We will also be going through the tiles that are removed, and anything that are still good, we're going to be holding on to that as inventory and using that over at Bayside to patch the surface over there, as well as doing some asphalt work to correct some issues that have arisen with tree roots and whatnot.
Why are we still using those crates like they're horrible?
So Councilman, I've been through many conversations on the, benefits and negatives, snap court versus traditional asphalt surface. And ultimately in these 2 locations at Bayside and Lena Edwards, the condition of the asphalt underneath makes it such that the better financial decision at this moment for the longer haul right now is a replacement of the snap courts. I've spoken at length with Jerry Walker and his group, who we know runs a summer league at Lena Edwards, and we've been talking about that surface specifically for a bunch of years, Councilman, right? And ultimately, trying to maintain the longevity of what we have without making a $1 million decision right now is why we are looking back at the snap courts. And the entity, the technology has also continually changed. So we have an opportunity. They say that the surfaces are, better, and it's 6 of one, half dozen another, depending on who you ask for a surface as to what's preferable.
But the issue is that, for one, they're obsolete. Everybody don't have them. Only certain companies have them. So the parks stay messed up for long periods. And I recall there was several lawsuits because it's the safety mechanism for them. So at some point, we have to invest long-term instead of these quick fixes. Because again, I mean, I haven't seen any data that suggests they're better than blacktop. In fact, I think we're the only major city that use this stuff.
I mean, I would disagree on that sentence. However, Councilman, I was very much in the same brain as you until a couple months and had to get sort of reconvinced back into the snap court world. Because my first thought was same as yours, like, let's just get rid of it, right? But specifically Lena Edwards, which I think you and I are probably thinking of that surface, which has been a problem for a while. I submit that that specific surface really has just degraded and it's been a while. My assumption, having spoken to nobody whatsoever, this is just me talking out of my own brain. I imagine with all the development going on by Lena Edwards, that park likely will receive some attention in the next few years. That being said, I am confident that the replacement of the snap court will revitalize those basketball courts to full use. I do not anticipate any, people slipping and falling, which is the case on the existing subpar old surface. Okay, and the only other item I have, I know that the second reading for ordinance 4.2 is before you. I know we have spoken at length. I know everyone has opined as what they believe is appropriate. I didn't know if there was anything else that needed to be discussed on that. I will say that as a department director, listening to the items that are covered being in front of council all the time, I was trying to identify an area that could help the city, could maintain the continuity of services and try to make sure that we are not in a position where the council or administration is asking the department not to provide services due to lack of money.
Do we know definitively if Pavonia in 22 pool is under Green Acres?
I can tell you definitively that both Lafayette and Pavonia are both listed on the city's ROSI. I have received communications from the DEP that lists both of those parks as entities that the city has had projects done in and has received funding for. I cannot speak to how long that obligation lasts. Is it perpetuity? I don't know there, but I absolutely with confidence can tell you, councilman and all the members of the council, that I have received in writing from the DEP lists that include all three properties that the city has pools on, Pershing, Pavonia, and Lafayette. And as well, specifically, we were contacted with regards to Pavonia specifically by the DEP.
Rich, can I finish, Rich? Oh, thank you. So my major issue here is that with the increased cost of living and all this other stuff going on, my ward is, I'll make the argument that it would affect us the most. And I'm just trying to figure out, these are not, I don't think these are state of the art. I can't imagine people coming from New York, West New York, Hoboken, just to go to Jersey City pools. So, I mean, I just don't think that this is a good idea. I think we really need to sit down and discuss what we can do to address if we need recreation need more funding or whatever, but this is going to be a huge burden. It's only $3, $5, and $15 to certain people, right? But to people who's financially challenged, this is a huge deal. Take into consideration 22 pool in particular, they have a session for 2 hours, then they have a break, then they have another session. The break, people got to go out. So now these same group of kids will have to pay another reentry fee to enjoy another 2 hours of pool, so forth and so on. Is that an accurate assessment or am I off?
Well, Councilman, you're looking, I guess, first of all, I should say that I'm going to not be offended by calling our pool not state of the art and not somewhere that people want to come all the time. We take great pride in our facility.
No, not like that. I'm just saying, I don't think they're breaking a
put it out there. I'm on the
over here.
record. My guys work very hard. We work very hard to make sure that our places are safe and welcoming. And 22 pool, which we're calling 22 pool, which is Lafayette or Johnson Ave, depending on who you ask what we're going to call the pool. That is a large pool. It's a 500-person capacity. So the reason that we implemented sessions is because we have more than 500 people who want to use the pool every day. So that's where that came from, Councilman. If your second question is, if a fee for entry was implemented, would we be willing to sort of revisit that and maybe try to work 2 sessions out of the day or something like that? This is all an evolution of concepts. We're trying to do everything we can to be equitable and fair and to maintain services. The cost of living and the cost of things is not lost on any of us councilmen. What I believe I'm trying to do as a city is make sure, number one, we're compliant with DEP. That is incumbent upon all of us because there's a lot of money tied up across the city under Green Acres properties, and we want to maintain those facilities and keep them. So number one, I want to make sure there's nothing that we are doing in violation of DEP. And otherwise, really, council, these decisions are not mine to make. I do not pass ordinances single-handedly. I recognize the challenges. I am a family. I do live in Jersey City. I recognize increased costs. And I also recognize that I want to meet the pool operating. If there's a different way to do it, I'm all ears.
Lucinda, I thought the fees were held off until 2024.
I believe, though, my recollection is the way that this ordinance has been reintroduced for the second reading, it might have a starting date for 2024, if I'm not mistaken. So it would be something that would be approved as written now and then would be held in abeyance for this calendar year, 2023, and then would come into place in 2024. I believe that council, that is how it has been listed for the second ordinance.
And hopefully by 2024, we can find another resolution for this because it's a shame charging residents, city kids money to get into a pool. So hopefully.
The decision is not mine to make, councilmen or council members. I just came to you with something that many entities do.
Is there an ability for us to just increase the fees on adults and make sure that children between certain ages go for free?
I believe you certainly have that right.
That I would be more amenable towards that. Also adding a clause that says maybe it's free for children once the temperature hits 90 degrees, like they could go to first come, first serve basis at the pool for free, just to keep them off the streets, and maybe a refundable deposit for the camps. So then you have a better idea of the actual demand versus parents that like to sign up their kid for like multiple camps at the same time. And, you know, then you don't have an accurate gauge. Is that something we could put in the ordinance
Council,
before we vote on it? Or
there's a few levels in there that would require extra work by the council members to make
Do that.
the many levels that you said a possibility. But I think these are all good ideas. And here we are. Thank you, council members.
Thank you. Morgan?
Good afternoon, Council President and council members. I have 2 resolutions this evening. The first one is Resolution 23-356. It is a resolution authorizing the cancellation of the unexpended budget appropriation balance of the Department of Health and Human Services. So essentially, this is for summer mills. Last year, the state awarded us $605,290.13 that we were not to exceed. We ended up spending $311,814.29, but we were reimbursed $334,500.78. They are allowing us a no-cost extension. So we have $22,686.49 for this year, plus they gave us supplemental funds of $9,043.90. So in addition to the grant, we have $31,730.39 for this year.
Council members, this is item 10.33.
So the next one is Resolution 23-359. And that is a resolution authorizing the execution of a memorandum of understanding with the city of Hoboken to jointly introduce Jersey City Summer Food Service Program to school-age children in Hoboken. So essentially, they have 4 sites, and they want to partner with us. So we would be the sponsor, they would be the site, and just like the sites here, we would still be reimbursed for all of the meals.
Any questions? That's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Owen?
Good afternoon, Council President, City Council. I have two resolutions for you tonight. The first is Resolution 23328, Agenda Number 10.5, a resolution commemorating Joyce Davison on the occasion of her being recognized as the Senior of the Year for the decades of work she's done with the Grace Seniors.
Next one.
Resolution 23357, Agenda Number 10.34. This is a resolution authorizing the Jersey City Department of Health and Human Services to accept the 2023 WIC Health Services Grant funds from the New Jersey Department of Health. This includes an amended amount of an additional $1,065 to purchase 3 new printers for the farmers markets and the QR codes that are going to be issued this year.
Thank you. Richardson?
Good evening, Council. I'm here before you for item 3.2, ordinance 23-041. It's an ordinance amending and supplementing chapter 255 short-term rentals.
Talk.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So from my understanding, before the previous director left, she saw the need to just change and clean up some language just to make this amendment or this ordinance a lot more clear and concise. As you read through it, it wasn't a major shift, but it was a lot of things that were repetitive and just needed to be a lot more clear. So that was pretty much the premise of this.
Are these changes making it stronger? Like what I see, there's a lot of, let me see, let me pull it up again. It seems like now they're asking for vehicle registration and that you have to they change a lot of the definitions in there.
I'm Jessica.
Yes.
We're always allowed to ask for other documents, see fit. We just put a little clearer. We can ask for registration, insurance, redacted bank statements.
And then I saw that the term government agency, like a summons going through the proper government agency. Does that include like see-click fix? If someone has a complaint, that would be a proper government channel for someone that's complaining about a short-term rental? Say that over?
Repeat the
Oh,
question.
absolutely. She's
Yeah.
okay. It says a substantiated complaint being a complaint reported to the appropriate government agency that has resulted in agency action confirming the alleged presence of a violation. And it changed from a civil or criminal complaint summons notice of violation. So I'm asking, does this like expand the realm of possibility from which a substantiated complaint comes from?
Yeah, so it includes any department in the city. If there's a zoning complaint, if there's a building complaint, see-click fix, a phone call, any complaint, from any department in the city.
Or from a constituent or resident?
Yeah, that would be usually see-click fix.
Okay.
Oh, go ahead.
I just want to comment. Thank you guys for introducing this. I have not had a chance to do the deep dive review. I don't know, Councilman Prinzary, if you have had a chance either. So just between first and second reading, I just wanted to say on the record that if anything comes up, and I certainly want to send this to the stakeholders we worked with when this was passed in 2019, I certainly let you know if anything is flagged and if we think it needs more work or revision between first and second reading.
I think that's fair. So, yeah.
Yeah, so, I'm sorry. So what we basically did, there was a lot of gray areas in this ordinance. I was not in the original writing in 2019 in June. However, I am the only person who's been enforcing this ordinance and dealing with owners, dealing with applicants. There were a lot of gray areas. It was all over the place, the ordinance, to be quite honest. So we kind of made a rhythm It's easier to understand. It has a chronological flow. There was things, if you look, you haven't had a chance to look at it. Yeah, the requirements, I worked with the law department, so I think it's pretty much now very clear.
In the read that I did over the weekend, I saw that there were some recommendations that I had sent over to Director Hendon previously that are noted in here. So I do think that it's going to be cleaner, but Councilman's point, I think that because this was a big body of work that we did back in 2019, we should just have another set of eyes that way.
Thank you. Lee?
Thank you.
Afternoon, Council President and council members. I'm the new Division Director for Immigrant Affairs. And with me today to jointly present item 3.6 will be my predecessor, former Division Director, Michael McLean.
Michael.
And item 3.6, basically 3 amendments to the ordinance, chapter 37, involving Immigrant Affairs Commission. And the 3 amendments are for 37-5, it sets the term limit for chairperson and vice chairperson of the commission to 1 year. And for section 37-6, it requires the commission to hold at least 10 meetings per year instead of the previous 1 regular meeting each month. And finally, for section 37-7, it allocates the commission to the Department of Health and Human Services instead of the previous Office of Equal Employment Opportunity. And those are the 3 amendments we propose.
Questions?
Was this driven by the committee members? What was the impetus or motivation for the change?
Thank you, Councilman, and thank you to all the council people for voting to create this commission. Councilman Saleh, to answer your question, the commission has an advisory function and was created prior to the Division of Immigrant Affairs, which exists at Health and Human Services since 2018. As the former division director at Health and Human Services, we did a lot of really amazing work. The city is now a national standout for naturalization. And many of you were here when we had a Ukrainian and Russian immigrant both naturalized right here. It was great. The commission is as Division Director Chang mentioned, is part of the Business Administrator's Office. And this question has been brought up by many people. Why is the Immigrant Affairs Commission not aligned legally with the Immigrant Affairs Division, especially since so much really amazing work is being done. It's supported by the council. So it's come from a number of different places to answer your question.
Thank you.
And at the Division of Immigrant Affairs, we have data regarding the residents of Jersey City, regardless of their status, that we've assisted. So by allocating the commission to be under the Department of Health, they would have more readily accessibility to those data. So it brings the issue of immigrant affairs down from a global and federal level to the city's actual needs, regardless of their status. So it makes them more locally responsive to the residents of the city.
Thank you. Thank you. McNair?
Good evening, Council President and City Council.
I have four resolutions to present before you. The first one is item 10.14. This is Reso 2337. This is a resolution authorizing the renewal of a contract with Brown and Brown Metro LLC to provide, to provide services, insurance consulting services, and to be the city broker of record, obtaining and maintaining the city's dental benefits. This is a one-year contract from May 1st, 2023 to April 30th of 2024. And the city desires to exercise the second and final option. The next one is 10.15, Resolution 23338. This is a resolution amending the contract with Horizon Blue Cross Blue Shield to administer the city's self-funded health plan. This is just an amendment. The total contract that was awarded in February, on February 8th of 2023 was for 80 million. The proposal that was actually submitted was for 113. The next resolution is next item number is 10.16. This is resolution 23339. This is a resolution authorizing the renewal of a contract with AccuSure LLC to provide the city with insurance consulting services and to be the city's broker of record for obtaining and maintaining the city's medical benefits, stop loss, and prescription.
1015, the resolution for Horizon Blue Cross Blue Shield. Why is there such a gulf in the price? What we had expected, which was 80 million, and now it's 113 million. Like,
So honestly, what has been rolling over was the 80 million from year to year. And when I revisit the proposal, it was actually for 113. So it was rolling over from year to year, 80 million. That's what we was originally budgeting for.
is that within the,
Say that again.
So this, we had to amend the contract because the proposal that was actually submitted was for 113 million. Where the 80 million came in, that's something that was been rolling over from year to year. And
What though?
it wasn't 80 million, it was actually 113.
So all this time we was voting on 80 million, but in reality we was paying 113.
We was always paying more than 80 million, yes.
So they just caught this error.
Since I've been here, yes.
So, for how many years though?
So I can't speak to I can only speak for this particular year. Again, once the proposal was submitted, it was submitted for 113. Where the 80, I know at some point we were paying 80 million, but apparently it seems like it was rolled over from the year before. And we've been budgeting for that. We went under budgeting. And when I took a look at the proposal, which is why warrant us to amend the contract to reflect the correct amount.
Who can speak to that though? Because that's huge. If we were under the assumption that something was one price, is one thing to mix up a number, but to jump 20-something million, actually 33 million.
Go ahead, Peter.
Well, Councilman, to clarify on that too, we're self-funded, so it's not a price we're paying for something. It's basically us funding it ahead of time and anticipating what the city will have to spend on these services for the employees. So I think a lot of with the COVID and things like that, we definitely saw an increase of it. You know, last year, the budget, we had to pay a lot at the end of the year for additional expenses. So this is more just trying to get ahead of it and making sure we're budgeting higher to reflect the trends that we've seen through employees and the payments we're making for that.
so is that going to increase the health premium for everybody or whatever we're paying right now? Like, what's the impact?
No, there's no change.
This has no effect on premiums. This is the city funding the money to make sure there's money there to pay for these services for the employees.
Okay.
Okay.
Can we just ask maybe then, can you guys work together to just get the council, maybe take the last 3 years, 20, 21, 22, how much was expended on this contract? Not what was budgeted, but how much was actually expended on each
Absolutely. We get those numbers for you.
Great.
Okay, questions? The last item number is 10.17. This is Resolution 23-340. This is a resolution authorizing the renewal of a contract with AccuSure LLC, doing business as Doyle Alliance Group, to provide insurance consulting services and to be the city's broker of record for obtaining and maintaining the city's management and non-management life insurance policies. The city desires to exercise the second and final option for this particular contract. It's from May 1st, 2023 to April 30th of 2024.
Questions? We can take this up in budget too. Thank you.
Thank you.
John McKinney?
Good evening, council.
Good evening.
The first one I have is item 3.3. It's a first read for an ordinance authorizing the sale of an easement to PSE&G affecting property owned by the city in the township of Little Falls. Essentially, PSE&G has created an electrical duct bank, which is being built on a piece of property we own in connection to our aqueduct. They're going to give us about $48,000 for a 50-year easement, which will cover the municipal taxes we owe on the property, basically making it even for us.
That for 1 year taxes?
It's for the next 50 years of taxes. And if the amount is too small, we can hit them up for more later if we can show them that the taxes have risen. The next one is a second read. This is the ordinance authoring the sale of an easement to Kingsman Development Urban Renewal for property owned in the city of Lyndhurst. I talked about this at the last meeting. This is also involving our water line. They're going to install a sewage line that runs over the top of it and need an easement in order to be able to do that. Yes. This one is sponsored by Councilwoman Ridley. It's a resolution authorizing the city to accept a gift from Pacific Outdoor Advertising and Klein Outdoor Advertising in the amount of $25,000 a year. They're installing a billboard off of Route.
Number.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's agenda number 10.8, resolution 23-331. They're installing a billboard off of 440 on the south side of the city, almost right on the border of Bayonne. And now that they've gotten their approval, the owners of the company wanted to dedicate funding as an annual gift to the city for the use for recreational purposes and such. Was being given more for Ward A, but not a requirement. So,
long story short, as John mentioned, the advertising company, they have a billboard, and when they go into different communities and they put their billboard in, they try to help support that community. So this billboard is going in Ward A, and I was in talks with the company so that they can make a donation. They've done similar things in Caucus. So the money was going to be used or will be used in the future to support that community where the billboard is. But I know that we have an issue this year with our recreational fundings. For this year, we'd like to take that money and use it towards the summer camps. So for the families that are low income, where we should be able to sponsor hopefully about 150 sessions, maybe a little more off of that 25,000. So that's what it's going to be allocated to for this year. And I've already met with Recreation, Law Department, and the BA to make that happen. And whoever is registered already, they're working out a way to kind of get them their money back. And it'll be a scholarship for this year for income restricted families so they can go to the camp for free.
That's good.
that's all I have.
Thanks. Welder, Brian?
Good evening, council.
Evening.
I have three items for you tonight for your consideration. The first one is agenda item 10.30, resolution 23-353. It's a resolution authorizing the award of a contract to Stafford Smith Incorporated for the purchase, delivery, and installation of various kitchen appliances for the New Jersey Heights Senior Center located at 394 Central Avenue through the Sourcewell Purchasing Cooperative for the Department of Infrastructure, Division of Architecture. Total contract amount is $119,629.61 through capital.
Questions?
Okay, second item, 10.31, resolution 23-354. Resolution authorizing the award of contract to Reliable Tree Services Incorporated for the Hamilton Park Tree Maintenance and Removal Project for the Department of Infrastructure and Division of Architecture.
Is there a reason why our forestry department can't do it or?
They're just understaffed,
Okay.
and the trees keep growing. They need maintenance.
You know, it's amazing. Finish.
Go ahead, go
Hey,
ahead.
Rick.
You know, it's amazing. This past Saturday, we had about 50 veterans. We were all up at the park, trimming the trees, taking care of all the park and everything. And yet, once again, downtown, you're hiring somebody to do it. And Persian Field needed this work done. Thank God the veterans came in and did it. But the city should be doing it, and the city should be maintaining Persian Field the proper way, the same way they maintain the parks downtown.
Last item, 10.32, resolution 23-355. Resolution authorizing the award of contract to WHL Enterprises. It's for heating and air conditioning in the Johnson Avenue Library Branch.
I do have a question with regards to, and I guess this for the BA, do we plan to address the shortage, for forestry for the trees, or do we give another contract out?
So it's always a cost benefit analysis. So we can certainly look at that. We have the budget revision we'll be going through. If the council feels that's important, we can, definitely move money in that area. It's just, again, it's a balancing act of if you move it from there, you got to take it from somewhere else. Trying to
But
do that.
I'm saying if we're understaffed and we've been understaffed, at what point do we fill the position? Because people are always looking for jobs, and if we're understaffed,
Correct. But if we do that, we have to make sure where we're taking it from the rest of the budget to hire for those positions. So right now, it's usually a cost benefit to go to the outside party for certain things. If the council feels it's better just to hire people and do it in-house, we can do that. But we'd have to look at through the budget in order to do that.
I'll tell you, I've been involved with recreation 33 years in this city. We've had the same problem. Not going to be solved.
We've also had multiple foresters over the last couple of years, and part of it is because the city does not pay them the same way that they're paying the private sector. And for forestry in particular, you need certain skill sets to be able to trim the trees. So sometimes it's not just a function of us being understaffed. It's actually not being able to do this. The Shade Tree Commission and the Parks Coalition has been working for at least since I've been on it, and I've been with the Parks Coalition over 10 years to get proper funding for these things. So it's a constant back and forth. One year we got additional money into tree maintenance, then it went to another budget item. So it's something we would discuss at our budget hearings.
no, I'm just.
Anything else, Ryan?
You said it
That's it.
All right, thank you.
job,
Thank you. Have a good night.
expertise,
Phyllis?
definition.
You explain to her. She's been doing this for a decade.
Good evening.
Right.
Resolution 10.10. We're looking to authorize an amendment to extend the agreement with Entrado. It's a website hosting and support services for the Department of Administration, Division of Information Technology. It's $26,000 yearly, and it hosts citywide.
It hosts the city's website.
Yes.
Sit. Thank you. Hey, Cynthia.
Good evening, Council President and fellow councilmen. My name is Cynthia Vasquez, Division Director of Injury Prevention, and I'm here to discuss Resolution 23-361, Agenda Number 10.38, Items Number 1012 to 1016. It's a resolution authorizing the submission of an application to the New Jersey Department of Health, Office of Local Public Health for the Strengthening Local Public Health Capacity Grant for 2024. Questions? Okay, thank you.
Oh.
Good evening, Council.
Evening.
I'm here to discuss Resolution 23-348, which is Agenda 10.25. It's a resolution authorizing the execution of a deed notice and remedial action permit between PPG Industries and Jersey City for the properties along Garfield Avenue. So basically, this ties PPG as the responsible party and forces PPG to meet all the NJDEP remediation processes and policies to protect, human health and environmental responsibilities in perpetuity, even though it's a Jersey City right of way.
What location is it? I thought this was.
This is along Garfield, and there's maps with exhibits in the back.
It's by the park, right? That little trail area?
Yeah, if you take a look at Exhibit A1, it's right along Garfield near Carteret.
Okay. Because I be getting confused because I know we voted on some before, but apparently there's a bunch of different parcels.
So yeah, they've broken it up into a bunch of different parcels, which makes it a bit confusing. This is now basically moved out to the part that's closest to the street. So at one point, the layout was within subdivisions that were within the property, and now how it's carved out will be in Jersey City right away, but they will still be tied to PPG being responsible in our city right of way.
Well, while you're here, but anybody else have a question on? Do me a favor. I thought you were still on vacation. I was going to call you today. The kids are walking down Summit Avenue by 627. They got the street blocked off. The kids have to cross in the middle of the street there. There's 3 schools up there. There's no cop, no crossing guard, no nothing. And some kid, one of the mothers said, some kid's going to get killed because those cars come racing down. So please do me a favor, Paul. Get right across the street. They're doing that development. Either straighten them out or close them down and make them open that sidewalk. All
I'll
right,
get
Paul?
Jeremy and Joe Barrow out there tomorrow morning, Councilman. I'll put an email together and get public safety and put it on their radar as well.
All right. How was your vacation?
It was
Are you
absolutely.
glad to be back?
I missed your phone calls, Councilman.
I know I called you and they keep on telling me you're on vacation.
Not a problem. Thank you, Councilman.
Welcome back. We could have said that in the beginning, right, Paul? Mike?
I haven't seen Paul blush like that ever.
Good evening, Council President.
Good evening.
Council. Mike Manzella, Division Director of the Transportation Planning Department of Infrastructure. Here to talk about 2 agenda items. The first is agenda item number 10.22. It's resolution 23-345. It's a resolution to enter into a grant agreement with NJDOT for the Bergen Arches feasibility study. The state budget allocated $100,000 to conduct a Bergen Arches feasibility study. The council unanimously approves resolution in support of it. We did finally receive this grant agreement from NJDOT, so we're required to adopt a resolution to enter into the agreement, and there's no matching funds required.
Mike, how much money are we gonna waste? We had a survey done a couple of years ago. We had a survey done maybe 4 years ago.
Mhm.
How many surveys are gonna be done?
Well, this is a grant, so it's.
I know, it's still
Yeah.
taxpayers' money. It's a waste of money. We had surveys done already.
Mhm.
You already outlined it. We had problems with the cemetery when they did the last outline, Revolutionary War cemeteries, the cut through the tunnel. I mean, this is just a complete waste of money.
Okay.
We already had the surveys done.
The scope is outlined in Exhibit A for this. It includes collecting existing conditions, a soil analysis, a structural analysis, ADA assessment. But thanks for your feedback.
Next one, Mike.
Next one's agenda item number 10.23. It's resolution 23-346. And this is a resolution, again, for another grant agreement to enter in between the New Jersey Department of Community Affairs, DCA, and the city to support ferry transportation services at the Port Liberté Ferry Terminal. This is another item that was allocated in the state budget. And we, again, just got the grant agreement finalized from NJDCA. And it's for $4 million for CSR FRF funds over the next 3 calendar years. And again, the city is not required to provide matching monetary funds for this grant as well.
Questions?
Thank you.
Thank you. Jennifer.
Good evening, Council President, council members. I'm here to present 2 ordinances. The first one is item 3.4, ordinance 23-43. This is to make the intersection of Halsted Street and Claremont Avenue into a stop intersection. Currently, there are no stop controls at the intersection, so this would make Halsted the stop approach.
Thanks for caring about my life, Jennifer. I'm
course.
still coming around that corner.
Of course,
Thank you for the stop signs on Summit too.
yes, they work really well.
Yeah.
Any questions
Next
on that one? The next one is item 3.5, ordinance 23-44. This is to prohibit right turns on red at the intersection of Wayne and Grove. Currently, there is a bike signal and the right turns on red conflict with that signal. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Jennifer. Finance.
Council President, council members, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I'm here for the second reading, item number 10.35, resolution 23-358. A resolution authorizing the acceptance of a renewed grant award from the New Jersey Department of Health, Division of HIV, STD, and TB Services. The first reading to accept the aforementioned grant was given on January the 11th, 2023 to the Municipal Council via Resolution 23-023. The renewed grant amount is $115,000 for the new grant period of July 1, 2023 to June 30th, 2024.
It's good.
The next item is 10.37, Resolution 23-360. A resolution ratifying the professional service agreement between Dr. Deval Garvey, also known as New Jersey Primary Care, and the Jersey City Department of Health and Human Services. We would like to move and adopt the resolution to enter into a professional service agreement with Dr. Garvey, doing business as the New Jersey Primary Care for the effective term of April 1, 2023 to December 31st, 2023. Dr. Garvey is a licensed physician and has been performing specialized STD clinical services, prescriptions, appropriated medications such as PEP and PrEP, and the ability to implement a citywide PEP and PrEP hotline. Proven reputation in the STD field. The contract should not exceed $40,000. This is a grant that has already been approved, the EHE grant for $40,000.
Is Dr. Gavi an infectious disease doctor?
Along with STI, because STIs and HIV are infectious diseases.
Is he an infectious disease doctor?
It's a she.
Wait, I'm sorry, is she an infectious disease doctor? If you don't know, you could just email it back to me. I'd appreciate that.
Okay.
Questions?
Okay, thank you.
Your grandmother yet? Did Deja have the baby yet?
Beautiful baby boy.
Okay.
Oh.
Oh, that's nice. Top Sean.
Okay, congratulations, Deja.
I was going to ask a question about the payroll, if Peter Horton knows or someone from the, remember the resolution on the payroll services? It was presented by Jimmy Carroll. So we have a 1-year contract with them. Why exactly? Because I know we have the, what is that? The Unicorn.
So it's a couple things. So one, we have to maintain the records consistently in case there's any corrections we have to make through this year. So if we don't pay them, they won't give us access to it. So if there's issues with someone had last year, things we have to correct, we won't have access to data to make those corrections this year. Additionally, there's certain record keeping things we have for, tax reporting, IRS, state reporting, public, FOA, that kind of stuff.
So do you anticipate it's going to be at least 2-3 years before we fully transition off the old system to Unicorn, like in terms?
Well, we are fully transitioned off as far as operations. This is more just record
keeping.
I don't know exactly, how long we'll have to keep them. I get that response to you though, if you like.
That's awesome. Thank you. That's all.
Okay, council members, all the first readings were touched on, items 3.1 through 3.7 earlier. On to our second readings, items 4.1 and 4.2 were touched on earlier. 4.3 is a ordinance 23-037 is an ordinance supplementing chapter 332 vehicles and traffic, article 8 permit parking, amending section 332-58 parking restrictions in residential zones to extend parking zone 2 to include Front Street. Item 4.4, City Ordinance 23-038 is an ordinance supplementing Chapter 332 Vehicles and Traffic, Article 9, Parking for the Disabled of the Jersey City Code, designating reserved parking space at various locations throughout the city. And item 4.5, City Ordinance 23-039 is an ordinance designating newly constructed municipal buildings as 1, 2, 3, and 4 Jackson Square. Councilman, you Mike?
Peter, if you know, why are we, why we just don't have consistency? Either the whole area is Jackson Square or the whole area is MLK, because it's kind of confusing. I know when I used to work in the health department, I would say come to 1 Jackson Square, where I was like, where's that at? It's really 360 MLK. So I'm just trying to understand, like, why are we doing Jackson? I mean, both is great names. I'm just saying for the sake of continuity. And then we have all MLK quotes on all the buildings in 1, 3, 5 Jackson Square.
So I don't know why they chose Jackson Square versus MLK or why they have it separated. I can get that answer for you. This one is more about just officially naming it for operational reasons. We didn't have that there. So if you try to mail things or send things out there, it wasn't the official address. So this kind of cleans up all of that work. So if we have to have things sent to us or mailed to us, that's the official address now. But I can definitely get you answers why we went with that versus something else if you'd like.
Okay. We have our speakers next, so we're up to 8. Any questions or comments on petitions and communications, items 6.1 through 6.21? Hearing none, any questions or comments on Office of Communications 7.1 through 7.4? Any questions or comments on Report of Directors 8.1? Hearing none, on to our claims. We have our meeting claims. And on to our resolutions. Items 10.1 through 10.5 were touched on earlier. 10.6 is resolution number 23-329, is a resolution proclaiming September 6th to be Jersey City Day of Fashion in the city of Jersey City. Item 10.7, Resolution 23-330 is a resolution awarding and recognizing Jersey City School Traffic Guard Sam Ortiz for his continued dedication to protect constituents of the Ward F community. Item 10.8 was touched on earlier. Item 10.9, Resolution 23-332 is a resolution of the Municipal Council of the City of Jersey City supporting Christ Hospital's request for healthcare funding from the state of New Jersey. Items 10.10 through 10.11 were touched on earlier. Item 10.12, Resolution 23-335 is a resolution, number 1, introducing and approving the fiscal year 2024 budget of the Exchange Place Alliance and Special Improvement District. And number 2, directing the city clerk to publicly advertise the budget and scheduled a public hearing and directing the tax assessor to prepare an assessment roll of properties within the district based upon the budget. Items 10.13 through, this is great. 10.41 were touched on earlier. Item 10.42, Resolution 23-365 is a resolution authorizing the settlement of action entitled Rogelio Cueto and Jose Peldelia versus the City of Jersey City, Gregory Moore, docket number HUD-L-398020.
There will be a confidential memo on this item circulated tomorrow. It'll be brought to City Hall, brought to the council office rather.
Okay, next is item 10.43, Resolution 23-366 is a resolution ratifying the award of professional service agreement with Florio, Kenny and Revel LLP to represent police officer Charles Taveras in the matter of, take your best guess with the pronunciation of that last name. If you want, Peter, if you want to pronounce that last name.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. It's Chirag Kushalani versus the City of Jersey City et al. This is a conflict of interest case. We need to retain outside counsel to represent one of the co-defendants in the case. We are, the city and the law department, to be specific, is conflicted out.
Okay. Next, we have 10.44, Resolution 23-367 is a resolution ratifying the award of professional service agreement with the Anton Law Firm LLC to represent the City of Jersey City and the Jersey City Police Department in the matter of Christopher Sciorra, versus the City of Jersey City.
Right, this was a matter we needed to hire trial counsel on this matter. We had multiple trials scheduled for a single day. We are farming this one out.
Okay, next we have item 10.45, Resolution 23-368 is a resolution authorizing the settlement of action entitled Donna Glacier versus the City of Jersey City, docket number 19-CV-18089.
There will also be a memo dropped off tomorrow, and as with the other matters, I'm happy to answer any questions offline that you may have before Wednesday. And Mr. Clark, 1046, that matter made it onto the agenda erroneously. That should be withdrawn.
We already approved that, correct?
That's correct.
Thank you. Okay. And last two resolutions, items 10.47, resolution 23-370 is a resolution authorizing honoring Clyde O'Garo for outstanding community service. And 10.48, resolution 23-371, a resolution honoring the National Sorority of Phi Delta Kappa Inc., the Alpha chapter. May I have a motion to adjourn at 5:40 PM? I heard the motion made by Councilperson Rivera, and I heard a quiet second by Councilperson Saleh. On the motion to adjourn at 5:40 PM, all council members present by acclamation, please say aye.
Aye.
We are out of here at 5:40 PM. Thank you so much, everyone at home and everyone here present. Remember, teamwork makes the dream work. Stay safe. Have a great night.